Hello everyone, I am Mahesh and today I am going to show you uh, about what is how to handle the specifically your calendar and the date picker. Now about me, if you can know, then currently I am doing I'm working on basically on the different technologies. Like I worked on uh, multiple technologies like Java, C Sharp, Python, Ruby, R language. Then I worked on Selenium, BTD, REST Assured, Appium for mobile automation, then JMeter for the load and performance testing. Same way, I have worked on currently on one of the research project also. Currently, I'm working now. I have one patent on my name and definitely another in queue. From my education background, I did my engineering in computers as well as my MBA in international business as well as in IT. Now, when we talked about about my social reach, so I have near about 6,000 plus followers on LinkedIn. You can search me on LinkedIn with automated scripts and you can find that. Plus, uh, like I have helped near about 2000 plus and near about now 2500 plus peoples to learn the test automation. And almost there are 1100 plus people, they got very good opportunity in the test automation field. Now, what we talked about today is the date picker or the calendar. Now, most of the time in interview, people may ask you the question, what is date picker or what is calendar? Now, if I wanted to handle the calendar in Selenium, then how to handle the calendar in Selenium? These are the basic questions in interview. Then people may ask you the another questions like if I wanted to work or there are multiple date pickers. Okay, first of all, there are multiple date pickers. We'll see that some of the date pickers today. I wanted to show you some of the live implementation on the date picker so that we can see and understand how date picker works. Now, when we said there are the date pickers and how to handle those date pickers and how to manage those date pickers, so people are mostly confused because we wanted to select the date, we wanted to select the month, we wanted to select the year, and that's how we got confused. So most of the time people say, can I write XPath for the same? Can I write CSS? Can I identify with the ID? Can I identify with the name and all? So I'll show you the best way how we can do that. Then let's focus on the areas that I'm going to show you today. Now let me go back, and first of all I'll show you one of the site from where. So let me search a site that is for, let's say, date picker sites, for example. Okay, so date picker. Okay, so I'll get this site. Let's say this is the site which I am currently using for the date picker. Now on this site, if you can see, this is my default functionality. So that if I can click on this default functionality that is on date picker, then it will select, it will come this calendar pop-up. Then you can select, you can go to the next, you can go to the previous, and then you can select any of the date out of this. That is possible. Okay, so this is how the first date picker. Then you have the multiple, like let's take an example of format date. So where you can click on this, you can select any of the date, and then from the format options you can select any of the format. Let's say I wanted to select ISO this, then if I wanted to select this default MMDDYY, if I wanted to select this DDDMMYY, then any of this date will help you to select your date. Okay, so there are different parameters or the date pickers that this particular the jQuery is offered. Like here, if I can select this 18 and then you can select it done, still that works. Okay, so these are the different way. Let's see, we can go with this default functionality first. So I'll go, I think this is the overall site of the date picker. Yes, so let's select this site. I'll go back on my code base I'll go back on my code base. I'm going to create a new class, and the class name is date picker, or we can say underscore calendar, so that you can understand both the things. I'll select public static void main. I can click on finish here. Let's go. Once I select that, I need to write my basic code that first. That is, let's say I wanted to write here system dot set property, and I say key and value pair. So in the key, I'll select as usual, that is webdriver dot chrome dot driver, and in the value I'll select the value of my Chrome driver. So I'll select that value of the Chrome driver. I have already written that code in my frame code, so let me take that value from here. So I can take that value and I simply said, let's copy paste here. Okay, so I said this is my this is my basic runtime, the Chrome driver that I have set up here. Now based on that, I can write here my driver equals a new Chrome, and I say driver. So let's say I have written this. Now I can write driver dot get and whatever URL that is. Let's copy this URL from here. I'll go back, I'll paste it here. Okay, so as of now, I simply write this is my date picker and this is my site which I'm going to use it now. So let's right click on run as, and run execute this as a Java application. Once we run this or execute this as a Java application, it should open this jQuery site where we do have some of the date pickers that is available. There are the different date pickers, those are available. Let's see if this site opens or not. Okay, so if we can see this site is open, now we can continue our further execution on this site. Let me see. I have not. Okay, so let it open. So what gate will do? Gate will wait until whole your page loads. Okay, till the point it waits. Okay, now I will simply driver dot manage dot window dot maximize. So this driver dot manage dot window dot maximize will help you to maximize your screen. Okay, so this will help you to maximize your screen. Any screen that you have opened, it will just, you will just get that screen as a maximize of your current system's configuration. Okay, any height and width. So I wanted to do that because I wanted to do some other operations also on this page. So let's maximize this. So and then I wanted to search one thing. So what I wanted to search, I wanted to search this element which I said. I wanted to search this date picker. So how to search this date picker? So simply right click on this date picker and you try to inspect this date picker. I just wanted to see if this date picker is available or not, and then we'll proceed further. Okay, so what I can see here, if I wanted to do and inspect this, then I can see here there is id equals a date picker, that is a input type, that is a id equals date picker. So let's try to identify this. So I am basically doing a one simple run. Okay, so first what I'll try to do, I'll try to identify this element by id and the value is a date picker. I simply wanted to see whether this element is present or not on the actual page. So I'll see simply date picker dot this, and I don't want to write very detailed code. Let's try first this code. Okay, so I said directly dot click. I wanted to see if this driver dot find element and this element is particularly should available on the web page, and let's execute this code. So I can go back here. I simply write date picker execution and it should identify and click, right? But let's see what happened in our code base. So I wanted to show you because we already see some of the code base in our previous session. So I'd request based on that there may be some changes into this code base. Okay, so let's see if this started. Okay, so this is started. And yes, let's open the date picker. Yes, it's open, and now it should click on this date picker. It is maximize. Yes, we write the code to maximize the code base. Okay, now let's try and go back to your code base. So there is an exception. Wow. So there is an exception on this code. We are simply writing like I wanted to identify by ID, that is a date picker, and it is saying no such element exception. So my first doubt is I can think this is definitely there is a frame available on this page is what my first doubt. I wanted to see if there is a frame available on this page. So what is the best way that I told you last time to identify if there is a frame or not? The best way to identify is if you can see this reload frame, that means definitely there is a frame. So if you have attended my last session on the frame, so you can remember that there is these options that we saw. How do we identify the frames are there on the web page or not? So the basic way to identify this is you can simply write reload your frame. So I simply said reload my frame, and I can see there is a frame definitely involved in this particular web page. So that's why I came to know there are the web page, or there are or on this web page I do have the frame. That's why what happened when I try to click on this element, it is telling me that there is a no such element exception. Why no such element exception? Because frame is not allowing you to access this particular web element, or we can say the objects, because we need to switch to that element. Okay, so let's try and we just identify. We saw there is a reload frame, that means there is a frame. I wanted to see any parent is having. Okay, so we identify. So if you can see, we do have the iframe. If you can see, we do have the iframe here. So I can see there is a frame, and the frame is holding only this area. If I can highlight, it is holding only this area. That means I have the frame which is holding this particular my element. So if I wanted to access any of the element within this frame, I need to first switch to that frame only. So my first task is to switch to that element only. Okay, I said I'll switch to that frame only. So let's try to switch back to that frame. So how do we do that? So we can go back to our code base. We can go back to our code base, and we simply write here, before clicking on the date picker, I will say driver dot find element by dot. Let's try to write the XPath. Don't worry, I'll take XPath session more in detail. So I'm not going to show you any very critical or difficult uh, I mean, we can say the XPath for you to write. I'll show you very basic XPath, how to write those basic XPath, and we can proceed. Okay. So let me show you. I write XPath. I can go back to this frame. I said it has the class, and I said demo frame. So let me go back here. I said $X. I said directly it is a iframe, and I said what it is a class, and equals to, we do have the value this. Let's see how many elements it identify. Simply click on this, and we can see here there is only one web element which match with this description. Okay, there is only one web element which match with this description. That means I can have my XPath, and with this XPath I can proceed. Now that means I can simply switch with this XPath. That is 100% possible. Okay, so what I am saying, that 100% possible that I can switch to that frame. So let me go back to my code base. I'll simply copy this. I'll simply copy this because I need this. I copy this XPath. I'll go back on my code here. I'll write this is my XPath. I wanted to identify this as a web element. I said this as a web element I need to identify. So I said I got the frame. I said I got the frame, and which has this is my frame or XPath of this frame. and now I can see if I can get this date picker or this calendar. Okay, so let's try to execute. I'm not sure if still there is anything that is missing, but let's try to run this code base. So at least we can come to know if that will identify the frame and then it will click or not. So first thing, that is the majorly, most of the time this automation tester, they're facing challenge that I am identifying this element very easily. I can see this element is available on the web page. Okay, now, but still I cannot click on that particular web element. There may be a certain definitely challenges. Definitely there are certain challenges, but still I cannot see that, or I cannot click on those one of the element. The reason sometimes is your date picker or your frame. Okay, and that happens most of the time. So let's see if that works. Let's see if we can okay, I just identify and still find to write the code, that is driver dot switch to. Okay, so I forgot to write driver dot switch to dot frame, and I said what is my frame. So I wanted to switch to this frame, and then I rerun my code so that it should identify and click on the date picker. This is my first task, first scenario. So people may ask you the question in the same way in interview. This is let's take an example of this is your site and you need to automate. So runtime, people may ask you such type of question. Okay, and they will give such an assignment runtime and at the interview level. Nowadays those are the computer level interviews, or we can get directly a system there and you just need to solve your problem statement. See what it happened. So the web page is maximized, and now we are able to click on that particularly that date picker. So if you can see how that happens, only that happens with the help of, only that happens with the help of frame, because though this is a frame, so we need to switch to that frame. So very good example of this. I mean, I just wanted to tell you, I mean, okay, and I can see most of you guys are looking for the assignment on frame, and most of you are finished those assignments also. Very happy to see that. So guys, from today onwards, what we can suggest, you guys can provide your comments on the video itself, so that our support team will help you to get the assignment on every topic. So like for the date picker and calendar also, you can just comment after looking at this video that you are looking for the assignment, and share your email ID so that you can get all those assignment on your mail ID. So those are all real-time assignments that will help you to crack any interview. So that please work on that also. Okay, so now I just get all these dates here. I am certainly identify the date picker now, and I certainly click on that date picker. So let me close this now. I'm just closing this now. I'm going back here, and now I wanted to see if I can click. Then I wanted to identify how many days are there. So I can simply click here, and then I can simply wanted to search any of this. Let's try to search the 16. So I click on 16. I can see all those are your TD. Okay, TD and TR. When we talk about the TR is your table row, and when we talked about TD, that is your column. So TD and TR, most of the people on the calendar, they worked on TD and TR. Okay, but it's very tedious to work on TD and TR. Nowadays the new component that comes, those are very easily people wanted to identify, but like in HTML5 or any Angular, such type of controllers are not that easy to identify. That's why I'm taking the jQuery first. Okay, so now what happened, if I wanted to identify this 16, I click on 16. So 16 is a tag here. If you can see, the tag is A. The tag is A. If I wanted to identify how many are holding a tag with the class name, that is UI state default. If I wanted to identify how I wanted to identify how many are those which holding class equals UI state default. So let's try to identify this first. I'll go back here. I can again write my own XPath. Let's say it is a tag, and I can say it has what it is, I just forgot. It is a class. I'll write the class and the value. So I'll try to write that class equals, and this is the value. If you can see, I'm getting total 29 web elements. If you can see here, I'm getting total 29 web elements. I just wonder why there are 29, but I can see there are 30. If you can see here, I can see there are 30, but I am getting here 29. So I wanted to identify there is something that is missing with this yellow and other. That is what my doubt of benefit. Let's see if there is this class holding any current date selection or not. So I wanted to go back here. Let's try to identify for 24. Okay, so if you can see, it is not UI state default. It is UI state default and UI state highlight. That's why we are getting only 29, because it is not identifying with this, because we are not using any of the basic methods of XPath like in and all others. Okay, so that we'll use in XPath session. Don't worry about that, guys. So I'll take XPath session more in detail. Okay, so let's then try to identify with unique thing, that is I can see href equals hashtag. Okay, so let's try to identify this. I'll go back here. I'll simply remove this. And I'll try to identify with hashtag, and the attribute is href. Okay, so once I write href hashtag equals the hashtag, then if you can see here, I am identifying 30 web elements now. Here I can identify the 30 web elements. If you can see, there is a difference, a very basic difference between identifying of the locators. If you can see here, okay, in calendar that happens most of the time, guys. Okay, in calendar most of the time we do the same things and we miss something. So if you can see, I use a class as an attribute here, and I can identify only 29 because there is the class name which is changed for the current highlight. There is additional text into the current class as well. But if you can see here, I write the attribute, that is href equals hashtag. I try to write href equals a hashtag, and if you can see, I am identifying a 30. If you can see here, I am identifying here a 30 numbers. So let's try to copy this XPath. Okay, I'll try to copy this XPath, and then we'll see what happens. We'll see how to proceed. Okay, let's go back on our code base. Now I click on that code base here. Okay, I'm not writing more in detail about this code. Let me write driver dot find elements, and I said by dot XPath, and this is my XPath. I said this is my XPath. Okay, now when I write this is my XPath, then I can store the list, because find elements return me the list of web elements. I'll simply store the list of days. I'll write here the list, and I said util, and I said it's a type of web element, and then it is a days, for example. Okay, so I simply write, I am getting with this XPath, I am returning all the days. I am returning all the days of this calendar. So once I'll get all the days, what I'll do, I'll simply write here. Once I'll get all the days, I'll simply write here. Let's see, for each. I'm trying to write my for each statement, the day from the list of days. Okay, so what I'm trying to write, I wanted to write the day from the days. Okay, I just simply wanted to write my day from the list of days. Okay, so let's go back inside here, and now I'll go back again and once try to identify how that text is available. If you can see, the text is available within the greater than and less than. If you remember in the initial session or my first 2-3 session, where I mentioned the difference between get attribute and get text, so that you understand why I'm mentioning this here today. But Using that, I can identify this text between the greater than and less than. So how do I identify? First, let's try to print those statements. So I say day dot get text, day dot get text. So what it should print? It should print, it should print all these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and all these 30 days. This is what my first expectation. First expectation is it should print all these particular days. Okay, and then we can do any other operation. If you can get the days, then that's it. I mean, next is nothing for you, because once you get the days, then you can do any other operation. So let me run this code. If I run this code, let's see what happened next. It should open again and find out on the date picker and get the number of days available within that date picker or the calendar. So let's see if it opens, it maximizes the screen. Okay, so it maximizes the screen, it clicks, and I wanted to identify if it prints all the days. If it prints all the days, okay, I didn't close. So, okay, see here, guys. So very true that we'll get the number of days, that is 1, 2, 3, 4 till you're 30. If you can see, all the days are available here. If you can see all the days we are getting here. Now you have very basic logic. Now you have very basic logic that you need to simply identify those any of the date and just click. So that should work. That means next that I can do here. So most of the time how we write the code base. So we can write the code base in this way. I can write like this, or let me write first string the day text, for example, and I write here day dot get text. I'll write get text, and then I write if day text, if day text dot equals, if day text dot equals, okay, I have some spell mistake, yes. So I have some spell mistake, dot equals, and I said any of the date that I can see there, though this is returning a string, so that I can simply write, let's say I wanted to select 2, 3, any date. Okay, I can simply say if it is true, then 2, then simply say whatever element that you are currently with, that you simply go and click done. Or you can simply click or select. You can simply say day dot select, or you can simply say day dot send keys, whatever it is. Okay, so both should work here. This is how you can identify and do the operation. Now I'll show you another way. I'll go back on the site. I'll go back on the site now one more time. And now I said, let's take an example. I wanted to select the format of those date. Let's say I click on this format, that is a default format, and I wanted to select any of these other format from this. So if I wanted to select any of the other format, let's first try to identify that element. So we wanted to see what is an element first, and then only we can proceed. Okay, so let's go back and try to identify that select box. I'll simply click here. Once I click, if you can see, and we discussed this also, I mean, if you remember that we saw this session also for how to work on list box and the drop down. Okay, so you can watch that video as well to identify how we worked on the list box on the drop down. So it will give you a very good help. See guys, we are going one by one on each and every element or the web object, so that all the videos are available for you guys to walk through. Okay, those videos are only for you guys. You can just go and watch those videos whenever you want. Okay, that is very important when any of the web element, web object you need to work. So now what I'll do here, I got this is my select. Okay, I got this is my select, and what that select says, that select said it has an ID format. It has an ID format. Okay, and then I wanted to identify any of this. So if you remember how select tag or this works, So select tag always worked. You need to pass in the select tag constructor the drop down. Okay, so what I am saying, you need to pass, okay, you need to pass a drop down and the format. For example, you need to pass any of the web element in the drop down. Now if I can go back in my code base, now forget about this code, I'll just remove this code we already printed. I don't want to click now. Okay, so let's remove this, and what I wanted to do now, I wanted to identify first this format date, because until and unless I'll not click on this format date, how come we'll get this format option? Okay, so first thing that we need to click and do the operation is your format date. So I can go back and try to search that element. Guys, why I'm always searching in front of you, there is a reason behind this, because once you get the hands-on on you writing your own or identifying your own elements, then it will help you a lot. Again, in interview, people may ask you the question, can you try to write one XPath in front of me? So what happened most of the time, people just copy and paste the XPath. That time it is very difficult for them to write a single XPath also in the interview. Okay, that's why I'm showing you a basic things here. So how to identify the elements, how you can write the XPath, very basic XPath I'm showing today. More in detail about the XPath will go in for another session. Okay, so now I'll just simply click on this. If you can see here what it is a link. It is a link, and if you can see, this is a format date link. Now my question for you guys, what I did here, so if you wanted to answer on this video, still it's okay. So what is my question? I already switched to the frame first. Now when I wanted to click on this format date, do you think I need to write the code before switch or after switch? So I repeat my question one more time. I am already switching to this particular select or the drop down. Now the question comes, do I need to write the click on this? Do I need to write the click on this format date link before switching or after switching? I'll give you 30 seconds to answer on this question so that I can move ahead. If you can understand my question, try to answer that question, because such type of questions people may ask you in interview. Okay, so if you understand the question, try to answer that question. Do you think I need to write that before or after? Before switching to the frame or after switching to the frame? Very good. So most of the people, they are writing after switching. Okay, like Smriti is saying after switching, then Charvita is also saying after switching, Aditya saying, Dilip is saying, okay. Now, yes, Mahendranath is saying before, Srinivas is saying before. Okay, most of the people are saying after, Sapna is saying before, Smriti is saying again after, Pallavi is saying after. So guys, think before giving the answer. Okay, why I'm asking this question, there is a reason. I show you that initially. If you remember what I show you this frame first. Okay, I show you this frame first. So what I said, when I select the frame, do you think this format date is within the frame? This is not within the frame. Do you think this is within the frame? This is not within the frame. That's why I show you initially, this is not within the frame. Okay, so if this is not within the frame, then do you think we need to first identify and then, or do you think then first we need to switch or then we need to click? Definitely not. The reason behind is there is no relation between the format date and your this frame. The format date is separately from this frame. So even though if you click before switching to that frame, then only you are able to click on this format date. Let's try that first. So what I'll do here, driver dot switch to, and now I'll write driver dot find element, and I said, oh so sorry, so find element, and I said by dot a link text. What was the link text I wanted to see? Just give me a second. The link text, what was the link text? So the link text is a format date. Okay, so let me copy this. If I can write here and I said a format date, and then I wanted to execute this code, and then I said simply move and oh sorry, okay, and move and click. Okay, I said dot, why it is, there is something link text, and then I said this dot click. Okay, so I said the format date dot click, and I simply wanted to click here now. So let me go back and try to run this code, and we'll see what happened once you switch to the frame and then you try to click. So you are seeing after switching, so let's try what happened. Okay, so we can see how it works. Just give me a second. It opens your window, and now it's try. So it's try to first identify your frame. First it will definitely maximize the window, then identifying the frame. Okay, and then we'll see what it works. Okay, so let's see it try to identify and click on your that particular this element, like your format date, this link. So I think it is not yet clicked. That means there is some exception. Yes. So there is definitely some exception, and that is a no such element exception. Why there is a no such element exception? Again, think in a way, when you said I wanted to only search this frame. Okay, when I said I wanted to only search this frame, and if the element is out of that frame, you already switched to that frame, then do you able to, or are you able to identify that link text within the frame? That means that element within the frame. Definitely not. So if any of the element already available within that frame, then only you can access if you already switch to that frame. Otherwise it is not possible. Okay, so now the first thing that we need to do is we need to click outside. We don't need to click after switching. So what we can do, we simply remove this code base from here. I'll simply remove, I'll simply enter here, and I simply paste this code here. And now let's see if this works. Now let's see if this works. I'll close all the open browsers previously. So now let's see if this code works. So I simply click here, and now it should click on that format date, and then only it should work. Okay, so let's see, it's open. Okay, so it opens, it make it maximize the window. Okay, so the people who are answering that, like, I mean, we need to write after that. See guys, what happened. So if you can see, it is clicking, and it will then whatever code that you had written here, it was clicking here and printing some of the elements and all those. See here. Okay, so it perform all the action that we had written. So what it do, so it clicks here for on the format date, then it goes here, it clicks here, and it will get all the dates, it will print all the dates. That's what we had written the code base here. So we had simply find out that, and we simply get all those date, and this simply print those dates. Now if I wanted to select the option, now what I said, I wanted to now select the options. So I close this, I go back to my code base. If I wanted to select the options, I click here first, and what it is, so it is a ID format. Okay, so how, so I'll remove this now, no need to print, so that we just remove that. Okay, so now what I'll write here, I first try to identify that with driver dot find element by dot the id equals format, by dot id, and we can say the value is format. So it is nothing but a drop down. I can write here a web element drop down equals this. Okay, so I said this is a web element drop down, and now I want to select, now I want to select a simple, that is I can write using a select class. So how we can write? Okay, we can take that Selenium support UI. Okay, always guys, just make it a note. When somebody asks you what is a select, select is a class available within the Selenium library. Okay, you can watch my that select drop down and list video also, so that you will get that idea. Now I'll go back here. I simply import that select, and I said, let's say select equals a new, and if you can see, the select has only one constructor, that is with the web element as an input parameter. So if you can see, there is only one constructor with the web element as an input parameter. I'll write that, I'll select that drop down. Okay, I select that drop down, I said select and this drop down. And now in select, if you remember, there are three important methods, that is select by a visible text, and then we do have select by a value, and then the third one, okay, so sorry, and then the third one we do have select by index. Okay, so all those three methods we saw in detail, but now here, if we can go back to that code base, if you can see here, we do have all the options in the select tag. We do have all the options like select, option value, then we have the text also. If you can see what I told you that day, whatever you can see in the greater than and less than, that is nothing but a text that is visible to the end user. The text that is visible to the end user. If you can see this ISO 8601, again this is a text that is available to the end user. Again this short that is available to the end user. So whatever date I can select from here, let's say I select this because it is MMDDYY. Once I change that, if you can see, that is changed the date format. Once I change this, it changed the date format. Okay, all I'm doing that all because of this, because there are the requirements sometimes and people wanted to do that. I need the date in my database in this format, so that you can enter in that format, and you do have that drop down here available. So let's say I have here a value is this. I'll select this value. Currently it is okay, I'm so sorry, currently it is MMDDYY. I'm changing that to YYMMDD. Okay, so I said select by value, and I pass that value here, that is this. Just comment this code base so that we can see what output it should give, and I can go back and run this code. It should select YYMMDD. I wanted to just select this as a YYMMDD so that we can get this. So let it opens the website, and we can see how it works. So currently it opens, then it will select the option that is format date something in the text on the right hand side, which is outside of your frame, and then it will select the date. Okay, so let me click, okay, let it maximize. Okay, if you can see, it is selected. What you can see, okay, it is not yet selected. Okay, something is happening. Okay, there is some error probably. Yes, there is. Okay, no such element exception. Oh, because, okay, can anybody wants to answer why there is no such element exception? Can somebody wants to answer why there is no such element exception in this? Anybody wants to answer why there is a no such element exception? Anyone? So I can give you 30 seconds to answer that question. Okay, so definitely this is not the end of this session. Okay guys, but what I would suggest, try to identify such issue. I know why there is no such element exception. What I would suggest you guys, so try to build your logic in this way. Okay, and so that you can do any of the action by this way on your code base. Okay, so now if you can go back here, if you can go back here, there is an issue within your code base, okay, and because of that you are getting that no such element exception. So anyone wants to answer on that, why there is a no such element exception? It's all up to you. Okay. Okay, so somebody says it's due to frame, yes, which is somehow you are correct, and you need to identify that where you need to switch, where you need to come out of the frame, and then you need to identify the issue. Okay, so guys, what I would suggest, we are happy to give you such a assignment every day. Okay, we want each one of you to learn. We want each one of you to learn on this area. So what I can suggest you, if you can, yes, frame ID might be different, that is possible, you can just try that. Okay, I'll not solve that problem statement here, because now you can understand how do we identify the drop down, what are the things that we can do in the drop down, how do we identify your date picker, how do we select the date, how do we get the dates, all those area we saw today. Okay, so now what I would suggest, just comment on this video and just ask if you need any of the assignment. You just comment and mention that you are already sent your email, so that our support team will help you to identify and provide you the basically the assignment. Okay, and those assignment will always a runtime and the live assignment, guys. So try to comment on those videos, so that will provide you the assignments. Okay, so I don't want to make any of this false statement for you. We won't help you into this uh, all the areas. Okay, so till this point, I can say it, today we can just stop it here, and we can meet on the our automation test plan session on this Saturday. Very important. You guys come to know, because most of the companies, they are not preparing automation test plan, and we wanted to show you how to exactly prepare the automation test plan. What are the mistakes people are doing in the automation test plan? Okay, so try to join that session on this Saturday. We are not allowing more than 100 or 150 people. We are just restricting our incoming people on that particular video. Okay, so please try to access that video. You can join early, and you can just available on that site. So thank you so much for joining. Have a good night, guys. Bye.